it's going to be it's good fun. So yeah, happy days. We just got the team.
Bloody hell. No, we
Yep.
Yep.
I was just going to say the teams are just dropping as we speak. So welcome everybody. If you've got some questions, we're here. Chuck some questions on if you want, or otherwise, if we don't get them while we're live, we'll get to them later on. So, so as we say that, the first lot of teams are just dropping in now. So you've got the Knights versus the Roosters as the first game up. So obviously Tedesco's out with his HIA, so Manu will play fullback. Michael Jennings will slide into the centres for Manu. They've also got Paga. Is that how you pronounce it, Brad? I don't know. Palga playing on the wing to replace Dom Young.
Yep.
Connor Watson is in the 6 jersey this week as well. So he's in there. Who are they missing there, Brad?
2 seconds. I'm just trying to.
Who was number 6 last week for them?
You had
Sam Walker's out with his HIA. Sorry.
Sam Walker will be out.
Yep. So Sam Walker's out. Connor Watson into the halves. You've also got Nat Butcher comes back into the team after a laid out last week. Satilli will go back to the bench. So their bench is Docker Clay, which is interesting. Nafu White, Tupanua, and Tyrrell May. So Angus starting on that edge, Brad. You liking Angus at all at 400k?
I do like Angus. I think he's a definite option.
Mm-hmm.
If you've got, I've got other problems, so I won't be going Angus. But I think if you do have issues in your second row, and it's just how can you trust anything with Robbo at the moment? I'm just so wary there. I mean, people have been burnt with Stilly. They've been burnt a bit with May. Oh man, how hard is he? He's hard going. He is working Ricky. We're not saying something before.
I think, I was one of the ones that got burnt by Satilli as well, to be honest with you. One thing I'm going to say, Brad, and I'm pretty sure you agree with me on this, is people don't panic with Terrell May's minutes from last week. I think with all the HIAs and the injuries that are through their rotation out of whack. So I wouldn't be playing panic stations at this stage. Hang on to him. I'm pretty confident that he'll go back to getting his 40 or 50 minutes again this week.
100%, yeah. No, that's and surely you've got bigger issues than Tyrrell May.
Yeah.
In your front row there. I don't. I do, and I think most teams. And I actually have got away with this pretty good this week. So.
Yeah.
All right, but no, that's interesting for the Roosters. That's good.
Yep. All right. Next game is the Storm versus the Doggies. For the Dogs, Blake Taft's out with a cap 1. Stephen Crichton gets the fullback role, Brad.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, he could be an interesting. How much is Crichton?
I think he's in the 400s or 500s. I'd have to double check.
That's still not expensive for a fullback, I've got to tell you. But you are playing Melbourne, and Melbourne are tight. They're very tight. We're giving out Supercoach points. So I would be a bit wary there on probably loading up with too many Bulldogs players this week, or even playing them if you can avoid it.
All right, so Jacob Graz go to the centres with Adokar back from his concussion. Kurt Mann's out with his hand injury. So Jaden Salmon will play lock, and Josh Curran will come into the second row, which he already was last week. Good news for the owners. No, it's not good news for the owners. Oh, yes, it is good news for the owners. Max King's in. He's in and named and will play. Chris Patolo gets the other starting prop spot, unfortunately. So Sam Hughes will come off the bench. They've also got Palasa onto the bench as well. And also Bailey Haywood, who I haven't heard of before. Don't know anything about him. He comes onto the bench as well. So interesting, Brad.
Yeah. We'd have to find out a bit about young Bailey there. With that forward pack, I still think Hughes will play some really good minutes.
Yeah.
Patolo and Hughes have played before together. Patolo generally has started before, and Hughes then comes on and does very similar to what Tyrrell May was doing with the Roosters. Comes on and does a last 40 to 50 minutes. Patolo is a bit more of a he's a bit more of a bigger body who lasts about 10 to 15 and then off sort of thing. So I actually don't mind Patolo. I've got my eyes on him actually. He's a cheapie. He's only about 238,000, I think. So yeah, interesting.
Yeah, well, obviously Pasalo on that bench too. I mean, even when he was starting, he was only playing like 20 minutes or so. He also didn't play New South Wales Cup last week, so I'm not sure what the go is there. And obviously Harrison Edwards is out with the neck injury / Cat 1 HIA after his shocking incident last week.
Yeah.
One change for the Storm only. Moroa comes onto the bench and the myth disappears completely after his 6 minutes last week. So Jack Howard drops out. Joe Chan is listed as 18th man after returning from his hamstring injury in the New South Wales Cup last week. So keep an eye on him. However, I do think, considering the way that Sean Bloor played last week, I think he will hold that edge spot.
What about Nass sitting down there in the reserves, mate?
It's interesting. Yeah.
Who
knows
he's not going to pay him that money forever, although he's done it with Jack Howes. But you would think that they're going to play Nass sooner or later. He would have served his time in New South Wales Cup, I think, by now.
I'll tell you what, it's weird seeing him play for North Sydney Bears too. Oh gosh. Anyway, anything else on that game, Brad? Before we move on to the next one.
No. I think down there, I think the Bulldogs are going to struggle, like I said. So I'd be very wary there. What you do.
Next game is the local derby. It's the Broncos versus the Finns, Brad. So for the Broncos, Reece Walsh is named to return. He's back. Tristan Saylor drops to the reserves. Jock Madden will play in the halves for Adam Reynolds. And Dean Mariner's out. So Corey Oates comes onto the wing. And Xavier Willison is back from a timeout with a concussion. So Tia Kura is gone off the bench. For the Finns, Tom Flegler's been named to play. Obviously Herbie's out. Felice Kafusi's out. Tessie New comes in. Jarris Wallace joins the bench. Kenny Bromwich starting on the back row. And he's a name we haven't seen for a while. Anthony Milford onto the bench for the Dolphins. Replacing Kurt Don, who's out suspended for his tackle last week on Fainu. Thoughts on this one, Brad?
Well, I've probably got more thoughts. Okay, everybody's looking at Willison. Yeah, Willison's there. Should get some better minutes because there's only 3 forward bench. Oh, excuse me. Same with the Dolphins. They've only got a 3 forward bench. So if you do have Josh Kerr, that's probably good news for him. And looking at that bench, I don't think, somebody's going to have to play some minutes there. That's for sure. And I think that'll probably will be Josh Kerr. The only thought I do have is Tessie New coming in. I don't think Jack Bostock's going to get the same amount of ball. What do you reckon is what he was getting off Herbie?
I don't think so either. Tessie's a bit of a ball hog, I find, as well. The other thing I will say on Xavier Willison is I wouldn't be trading him in this week. You've only got one more week and I'm Payne Haas back. So obviously that means that most likely he will probably drop out of the team after this week, I would imagine, with one of the front rowers going back to the bench, which will probably be Corey Jensen or Fletcher Baker. One of them will go back to the bench. So if you got Willison, good game to play him, but I wouldn't be buying him this week.
100%. Yep.
Next game's Warriors versus your Manly, Brad, over in New Zealand. So let's have a look here. So DWZ comes back into the side. Kurt Capewell comes back into the side. RTS goes back to centre. Pompey drops out. Mitch Barnett moves back to prop, and Bunty Afoa is out with a hamstring injury in last week's win. For the Seagulls, Burbo shifts from back row to centres to replace Ruben Garrick, who's out under concussion. And Corey Waddell goes into the starting pack, and Ethan Bullimore comes onto the bench. Now, that's interesting they're putting Burbo in the centres, Brad. I mean, they've got some other options there. I'm surprised that they would have put him in the centres.
Yeah, who knows? Don't know. No, I mean, it's a bit more of a defensive makeup I would go for. It's not, well, maybe they think that they do need a bit of defence. I mean, Burbo, who's he going to be up against? Sort of, he's on Rogers' side. So, yeah, maybe they're a bit worried about the what sort of body they're going to get up against Roger.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. Corey Waddell don't go out and rush and get him. It'll only be 1 week change anyway. Garrick will be back next week and it'll all be smooth sailing.
Yeah. I don't think there's much to talk about here, Brad, for Supercoach relevance. I don't think there's anyone worth jumping on or anything like that. So we'll jump on the next game, which is the Eels versus the Cowboys. So for the Eels, well, Barrett Arthur's made some changes here. Sibo's been dropped. All right, let me have a look here. Sibo's been dropped. Oh, Blaze Talangi's also been dropped as well. Our Supercoach Cheapie has been dropped completely. Wow. There were some rumours going around that he was going to shift to the centres, but they've actually brought Morgan Harper in. DJ Arcee in the number 6 jersey.
Wait, I'm recording, mate.
Yeah, Brad, that's the changes for Parramatta.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on that? I'm surprised that Talangi got dropped completely. I thought they would have surely put him in the centres.
100%. Like, you reckon he's got to be a better option than Morgan Harper, but anyway, we're not the coach. We don't know what's going on there. And all super coaches, I guess, probably a mistake now bringing him in because there's so many other cheapies starting to arise, particularly in that position. That there's so many options. For the Cows, yeah, it's just Tom Chester comes in, which is what I thought might happen. Over there.
Well, I was expecting him or Viliami Valalia, who's been named on the extended bench, so I was expecting one of those two.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I can't, who knows of this game? Parramatta could well bounce back, but it's yeah, I would have given Tuolagi another go. Dijon Arcee, we know what we're going to get there. And he can be good. He can be good, but
All right, next game is South versus the Sharks. South have made a few changes. Obviously, the Troll's out suspended. Jai Gray will start fullback, which is great to see. He's been absolutely carving it up in New South Wales Cup. Good to see Munro back from injury. He's replaced Thompson in the side. Peter Mamalos, I don't know how you want to pronounce it, Brad. He's going to be starting hooker for South. And then, wow, Damien Cook's been dropped out of the side completely, Brad. He's not even on the bench.
I don't know.
They've got a bench of Cheekham, Havili, Mitchell, and Moali. Wow. I don't know what to say about that.
I don't know. I just don't know. I'll have a go at pronouncing his name, Mamazoulos.
Okay, yeah, that sounds about right.
And I'm the worst one at pronouncing names. Anybody who watches the show knows that, but I'm absolutely terrible. Mamazoulos. Look,
yeah, he's an interesting one for the Sharks, everyone. So, Britton Okora's come back from his suspension, thinking that Talakai was going to get pushed back to the centres, but Oro's actually hold the spot. And he's not even he's gone back to the bench, Talakai.
Is you
surprised?
Well, we did predict this at the beginning of the year that was probably the best makeup for the team would be to have an impact player like Talakai coming off the bench and to shift Iro into the centres. Has been carving it up in New South Wales Cup in the centres. And he looks a real talent. So
the only thing I was going to say is, as a Mulatalo owner, I don't like it. Plain and simple. Talakai was feeding Mulatalo plenty of ball there, and I'm just a bit concerned as an owner now that that's not going to happen, Brad.
No, it's shit house for owners. Just putting it bluntly, yes. If you're an owner, bad. I'm not surprised that was going to ever happen. But it's not good for a Talakai owners, 100%. And I'm not real sure how it's going to go for Mulatalo owners too outside of Iro.
That's what I was just saying. That's just don't know how it's going to.
Yeah, we'll have to see what sort of ball he now gets. Although you wouldn't think, Jesse Ramian's got glue hands. You wouldn't think you'd have another one in your team, would you?
And then Braden Hamualele has been named on the reserve, so there's a chance he could come back into that team as well. So interesting.
Yeah.
Yes. Tigers versus the Dragons. Now, I've just pulled up this team list now and surprised you because there was a lot of talk that Sloan was going to be dropped for Lomax to play fullback, but that's not the case. So Sloaney's still at fullback. So for the Dragons, Hamualele returns from a calf injury at prop. So Jack DeBellin shifts back to the bench. Michael Molo drops out. Tyman Heisenhuth has been named to start lock, but they've been swapping on game day with Blake Lowry, so I'd expect that's probably going to happen. Jack Byrne's been named despite his leg injury last week, so it'll be interesting to see if he plays or not. For the Tigers, so John Bateman's out with concussion. Seyfarth moves into the starting side. Yuck. Fainu's out with concussion. Leitu Fainu is out with a hamstring injury. So Justin Matamula comes into the team. Asa Kapoa comes into the bench, along with Jake Simpkins. Brad, what's your thoughts here, mate? I mean, there's not really much there Supercoach relevant, except for Fainu obviously out for the owners, but obviously it's only a week, so you hold.
Yeah. I did have, and if you want to go have a look at last week's quick wrap up, which is the article is on the off the bench there. I did have Big Steph as the PPM monster of the week last week and one to watch. I still think there's a lot of relevance in him at only mid 500s, man. He scores. I think he's about the third best front row forward actually in running around at the moment in Supercoach. So if you start,
the other thing on that too, Brad. Looking at that bench, he's in for massive minutes. You've got a hook. You've got a reserve hooker. You've got one middle forward, and you've got two back rowers.
Yeah.
So he's in for another massive 60+ minutes as well.
Yeah. No, I think Andy's got I think a single digit PE or somewhere around there. He's very low. Yeah. So he certainly is one to go have a look at it if you've got problems in your front row. Yeah. He might be a way to get to Haas. Might be a nice cheeky way to get to Haas.
Interesting. All right, Raiders versus the Titans. So Jordan Rapana's out with a knee injury. He's going to be out for a while. He's having surgery. So Sebi Schultz gets make his debut at fullback. Zach Hoskins returns from concussion. Mariota goes back to the bench. Corey Horsburgh's out with a groin injury. So he drops off the bench. Great for bloody our mate. What's his name? Smithies. Good for Smithies. Yep. Simisagi drops off the bench as well. Trey Mooney comes in now. He's going to be one to keep an eye on because he's absolutely killing it in New South Wales Cup, Brad.
Yep. He's been on the cheapy radar for a couple of years now. We expected him to actually make a debut with some good minutes last year. He did make a debut last year, but virtually got nothing because of Ricky's usual. But yes, Trey Mooney, certainly a cheapie to watch out for into the future. Yep. He's in my little black book, and so it's just a matter you can only put so many in your team, though. Smithies, you got to love him. He actually discovered he had an offload last week, which is
I saw that
about 4 offloads or something crazy. You know, which with 4 points each offload, I'll take those.
Yep. For the Titans, Kieran Thorne's been named to play despite his ankle injury last week. Isaac Liu comes back from concussion onto the bench, so Joe Simpson drops out. Obviously, the talking point for the Titans, Brad, probably the only one is probably Fafita, mate. He was just in beast mode last week. I think he dropped about a 70 odd in 80 minutes, and in a side that got absolutely pumped, he looked really good.
Yeah. The Titans, I personally would avoid even poor old PP at the moment. Yeah, it's Jaden Campbell. I really don't know if he'll start. There is some rumours about his injuries there. So if you think that might be a nice, easy option in a 5'8", don't do it till you get team news. Looking at that bench, I can't. Aaron Clark and Sam Verrills both starting. Sorry, on the bench, and that means Lua. Man, I don't know what this is.
I don't know what he's doing either. I don't get it.
Yeah, I expect some changes there because there is some big forwards in those reserves who could easily come in.
I called it. I've been calling it for a while, Brad, and I did say that that Brimson needs to be in the halves. And I've got to say, when Foran went off and he went into the halves, they looked a much better team, Brad.
Oh, 100%. Every commentator you listen to in post match was all saying that Brimo's got to get his hands on the ball. And we all know it out here in the pub land. Yeah. It doesn't really pass the pub test in playing in the centres, I'm afraid. So, yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Well, guys, those who haven't seen the article, jump onto the page. The Beast has put up a really good article on some summaries and stuff like that. So jump on, have a look at it. Yeah, there's some really good content there. Keep an eye out for the late mail and everything too. We'll post up the final teams as we always do. So Brad, is there anything else that we probably need to talk about? What do you think thinking this week? If you had to rate your top 3 buys this week, who would you think would be the top 3 buys for you for this week for Supercoach?
Well, I have to personally, so I'll be very selfish here rather than talk about everybody else's team. We'll just talk about mine. I need to do something with Teddy. I did start with him from the beginning of the year, so he hasn't hurt me, but he was never going to be a long-term hold at any rate. So I'm not convinced it's a 1 week out for him because, Robbo is very careful with concussions. His 10th concussion, as it's been highly publicised. So, but I do have other options. Turbo could be one. Pappy could be another. Or Drinky could even be, but Drinky is almost so out of reach. It's crazy, isn't it?
He's like 900K or something now, isn't he? I think he's like 900K now, isn't he?
Yeah. So he has been in dynamite form, and I think he'll still keep going. Other interesting options, of course, there are Manu and Crichton. A lot of people have their eyes on Manu, and I don't hate it. I'll tell you now, I don't hate that one at all. At the price he is, it's all very price dependent, of course. Yeah. But the price of him, not a bad. If you go from Teddy down to Manu, it couldn't be sillier things. A lot of people have got their eyes on Schiller, but are we going to be in the same situation as Tuolagi? We've all gone and jumped on Tuolagi. Personally, see, I would love to keep a spot available for Kyle Iro. Because there's another cheapie that's going to, we keep burning trades on all these cheapies. We've got to stop buying them at some point.
It's funny because I remember we had this conversation on the pod that we did the other day, and I did say that I was worried about Blaise Solangi, the fact that if they don't perform, that he could easily get dropped, and now that's what's happened. So I think one thing I will say on Schiller is that Ricky is a big fan of Albert Hopewadi, and I wouldn't be surprised that the minute he's available, he doesn't come straight back into that team.
Oh, I'm with you. Yeah, I'm a bit worried, but he will be one of the most popular traded in this week. The other thing is that I'm looking to just get a bit more consistency out of my front row. And as we just discussed, Steph, I think, is really lining up nicely there to and Benji. So you got to remember, Benji looks like he's using a forward packing. It's all changed there compared to what they used to do. So I don't think that Steph has got the same problem with minutes that he used to have under previous coaches. Let me put it that way. Yeah. But the forward pack at the Tigers still needs a lot of work. There's a few teams like that out there. And Tigers, unfortunately, one of them. A couple of forwards are going to have to do a lot of work, and Steph's one of them.
I just found it weird, like last week, for example, with the 2 HIAs that we copped for the Cat 1, that Clemmer still only played around about 20 minutes, Brad. These are the sort of games that you need your big time players to step up and do a job.
But is he in the same?
He's one of our most experienced players in the team.
But is he in exactly the same category as Lolo and Aaron Woods? Can you get more than 20 minutes a game out of them? Or their knees just... Yeah. They've done it. I mean, I really respect them. I respect anybody who makes first grade because NRL is such a tough sport. It's you make first grade, you're a legend even if you play one game.
Yeah.
But these blokes have been doing it at a rather elite level as well. Their knees have got to be absolute sawdust inside there. I don't know how much he's got in him, Clemmer. Would that be the issue, you think?
Yeah, possibly. Like he could be carrying an injury for all we know too. I mean, he's always had a lot of issues with his knees and stuff like that, and he's not getting any younger either, to be fair. So yeah, look, they'll definitely miss a bit of go forward this week not having Bateman because he's probably been one of our best forwards. Fainer's been fantastic off the bench as well, and still no Galvin. So I think we're going to really struggle this week against the Dragons, unfortunately. Yeah. Just quickly, Brad, we'll just quickly duck through the top 10 traded in for this week. Because I think they're pretty much, I think a lot of them are pretty much, make sense to me. I mean, Schiller's 23,000 traded in. We've already spoken about him. I'm not convinced. I don't think you are either. Ponga, number 2, Manu, number 3, Angus, number 4, SJ, number 5, Katoa, number 6, Drinky, number 7. Number 8, Brad's interesting. I know a lot of people are trading out Dylan Brown to cash in before he loses more cash, but T. Murray Martin is an interesting one at 360k, Brad. Thoughts?
Yeah, no. Brown is a quality player. And I mean, you've lost that much cash, but that's just my thoughts. You've already lost a lot of cash. Did you really, you might as well just hold, it's got to get better sooner or later. And they're not going to dump Brown. That Katoa you just mentioned higher up on the list. Which Katoa is that?
Leach Katoa.
From Melbourne?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, what about the Katoa at the Dolphins?
Well, he's not to be seen on here anyway.
No,
he's just got the dual position too.
He's an absolute. I think you'll find he's got a negative break even now. He's been absolutely killing it.
Yeah.
In the 5'8" there. Is he 5'8" or half now?
He's both. He's dual 5'8" half. The one thing I will touch on with Team Murray Martin Brady is that I personally I'm trading out Dylan Brown this week. I'm just cutting my losses. But I'm not. I don't think Team Murray Martin's the answer, Brad. I think you better. 5'8" such a wasteland this year that you could just run Galvin and Strange there and just bolster up another position like a centre wing or a second rower instead. Do you agree with that?
Yeah. Well, I've got Luke Brooks there, and I'm honestly thinking about cutting the losses there up against the Warriors. I'm thinking, oh crap. Yeah. I could easily cut there and bring in elsewhere via Jules.
Yeah.
I can move Strange up there and really stiffen up my centre position if I want to.
Yeah. Number 9's Turbo. I don't think there's anything to talk about there. And number 10's interesting, Brad. Xavier Savage. I don't know if I'd be trading him in and paying 470k for a centre who's only averaging 60 points.
Only averaging 60? That's bloody good.
I don't want anyone, listen, he's my pod. I don't want anyone jumping on him, okay? Reverse your strikes, everyone.
only 60. Man, what a turnaround for this kid. And I've got to take my hat off to him and Ricky. Couple of, he debuted and then he struggled and then he got dropped and started again and dropped again. Just couldn't really, and he's just come out this year and he looks a completely different player. He looks dynamite. He looks like the kind of player we all expected him to be when he actually debuted.
Yeah.
Absolutely, he is on fire. And him and Tomoko are, they're probably two of the best centers that we've got running around, or exciting to watch when they get the freedom to have some ball. But that's all coming from their forwards. Like I said, I'm actually a fan of Smithies. Man, they just keep running it up, and they're going forward. They're not going. There's no sideways movement with them. Even Horse hasn't cried yet, so it's been a good year for them.
Brad, your thoughts on Taylor May? Is it time to jump ship?
Who have they got this week?
Well, they got the bye.
Oh, that's right.
But in saying that, after the bye, I think they've got the Tigers coming up soon as well.
Look, he's about the same as what his starting price was. He's lost a little bit on his starting, but not a huge amount.
He's lost like 40k or something. Yeah.
Yeah, if that's the biggest problem you got in the team, congratulations. You must be in the top 100 or something. I don't know. But I know a lot of people have traded May out, and I can understand it. So it's not a misunderstanding there. I do understand it, but yeah, he's not really going to drop a huge amount more, and he's not going to gain a lot more at the moment. He will turn it around at some point. It will come for him. But like I said, he's going to average around 30 to 40 at his worst, and he'll just keep doing that. So he's not going to drop a lot more. His price is about where that sort of floor is.
Well, I sold him 2 weeks ago for Hammer, so I'm pretty happy with that. I'm not going to complain.
Oh, bloody oath, that's a good sell.
Sean Lane, Brad.
I didn't start with him because I was worried, and I think I'm justified in being worried.
I'm happy too.
But I could understand why people did. So I'm sitting on the fence again. I'm getting splinters. But he is quality, but he needs those offloads. He needs offloads from other players and to latch onto them and attacking stats and some busts out wide, etc. If he's not getting the ball out of his halves to do that, then that can be very difficult. Then, yeah, is Dijon Arcee and Brown going to be the answer for him? I think Hoppy is about the only option there in the forward pack. I'd be happy to be going with every single week.
Yeah. Last one, Brad, before we wrap up, Ruben Garrick. He's in the top 10 traded out. He's only missing 1 week with a concussion. Would you be selling?
No.
I wouldn't either. No.
You got Origin in 6 weeks. 6, 7 weeks. No.
Which most likely he plays fullback or Cooler plays fullback, one of the two.
He's like Manu. He's one of them lovely players you just want around Origin time because he just fills so many positions, And you've got him at the start of the season. Yeah, he's going to cop a bit of a loss here and there, but it actually hasn't cost you anything because he's still in your team. So you might as well just don't forget Supercoach is about points. You need points, and Garrick is a points monster. He just eats up those points with his his returns and things like that. So yeah, you need points. Keep him.
That's it. All right, Brad. Anything else before we wrap up?
No, not really. Don't forget to look out for Roscoe's buy, hold, and sell. That article will be up very shortly, probably after we tune out. He'll get there very hard at work and try to get something happening on his buy, hold, and sell. So do have a look on the group page for that. You got any mates out there? Do tell them about the group page. We always love new people. There's lots of great comments always coming in. If I don't get back to everyone, I do apologise. I do try to answer everyone, as Roscoe does too, and Timmy and Guy. We all try to. And
our sidekick Dave as well.
Dave, he's sort of a bit in hiding at the moment as a South supporter, but with Dave, it's going to get better, mate.
Yeah.
No, actually, it won't.
Lastly, I just want to say a big shout out to our man Savs. Well, not our man, but Mr. Savs over from Supercoach Experience Podcast, who's currently sitting 27th overall. So fantastic work, Brendan. Keep it going. And I do believe that he's going to be a guest on our podcast, hopefully in a couple of weeks. So we're looking forward to having him on. Sunday week, we've got Tim Williams from the Supercoach Playbook podcast coming on as a guest for our Sunday pod. Not this week, but the next. So that will be fantastic. And we're super wrapped to have him on because he's a busy man. He's a wanted man. So, yes.
No, that's good.
So I just want to say, lastly, to the other podcasters out there, there's some absolutely great content out there. Supercoach Playbook puts out a fantastic podcast. They go live usually around 8:30 on a Tuesday night. The experienced guys will have their pod going as well with the boys, with Timmy and Brendan and Jakey and that as well. So go and check those guys out as well. They do fantastic stuff as well. So until then, if you don't have anything else, Brad, we'll be back Sunday night for our round 6 round wrap.
Oh, look, good luck. Have fun super coaching. Don't get too worried if you rank 50, 60, 70,000. It means nothing. Have a look at the points. There's not much between 70,000 and 15,000 at the moment. It really is. sweet F all. They don't, it's just, you're gonna have good weeks and you have bad weeks. Supercoach is a lot like life, good and bad.
Yep,
Simple.
don't panic trade.
No, you'll be right.
Until Sunday night, have a good week, everyone, and we'll see you on then. Thank you. Bye.